Okay, kick off to the 88 Winfield Cup Grand Final. Here's Hollywood.
Straight into the arms of Freeman. He goes across to the centre of the ground. He's going to be pushed back some 5 or 6 metres to be 15 away from his own goal line centre field. He plays it now to Elias. Goes across now to Gary Jack. Oh, and a shoulder charge by Peter Tunks puts him right out of business. Back to Elias from the dummy half. Now it goes out into the arms of Bruce Maguire. And the big Tiger manages to get up to the quarter again. It's back to Elias. Out now to Paul Surinan going forward. But a penalty given to the Balmain Tigers. Canterbury inside the 5 metres.
Yes, and Paul Dunn was ready to throw a high one at Surinan, but Mick Stone, the referee, 39 years of age and very experienced, and the first penalty of the Winfield Cup Grand Final going to Balmain. Gary Jack doesn't go for a lot of distance, finds touch on the broadcasting or western side of the Sydney Football Stadium, and this tap to be taken now 10 metres from the halfway mark in Balmain territory. Elias puts his foot to the ball.
Straight away down to the centre of the ground, the ball bounces. Oh, Michael Neal picks it up. He said they're all onside, so the Tigers just outside the Canterbury Bankstown quarter line.
And it's on now, Tunks and Freeman, and both sets of forwards into it. So the Winfield Cup Grand Final has started in a Donnybrook in the opening minute of play. Wayne Pearce keeping the Balmain players out of it. There's Benny Elias thrown around like a rag doll, and Balmain were in possession. I think Canterbury put it on. Sideline eye, Tony Megahey.
I've got to say this will be a Balmain penalty, but certainly it had to erupt. The nerves are just too strained. It had to erupt.
Well, if the penalty goes Balmain's way, it should be 2 points to Rossi Conlon, and that's all that the Tigers need. It was a big Kerry Hemsley in possession, and Paul Langmack was the instigator. He hit Benny Elias on the replay, no doubt about it. It's got to be a penalty to the Tigers. Sideline eye, Gavin Miller. That's bad tactics, I think, by Canterbury to give Balmain a shot at goal after only a minute of the grand final.
Well, that's true, Peter. I predicted that this game would erupt early in the match, and it certainly has. One thing about this, I thought that Canterbury would be the more disciplined side, but at the moment that's not the case.
It's certainly not, and that's Paul Langmack, Steve Roach over in England. This should be a shot at goal from Conlon, and if the Tigers get their nose in front, they've got to be hard to beat. And there's Steve Roach giving us the pips with that penalty over there, and that's a beauty. Well, we're supposed to be getting Steve Roach over there, but problem there. We'll fix that up shortly. Okay, and right now, the Winfield Cup Grand Final, Mick Stone taking it. Come on, Mick, get on with the game. There's a powwow going on, and really, it was only a minor all in there, and the referee's got to get on with the job quicker than this, Greg.
Well, there you go, Peter. The penalty now to Canterbury Bankstown on two touch judges' reports.
Well, that is an absolute joke. Paul Langmack put that on, and the penalty's gone to Canterbury Bankstown. Sideline eye, Tony Megahey. Can you believe that?
I thought Langmack was the instigator, but Gavin's got another opinion.
For the amount of time that the referee took, Peter, he should have had a look at the screen, and he would have seen that Langmack was the instigator.
Okay, he certainly should have. I tell you what, he should have looked at the screen. Oh, another penalty to Canterbury Bankstown. 2 in the opening 3 minutes here at the Sydney Football Stadium. Is this a trend, or is this a trend?
Andrew Farrar now taking the shot for line. He puts it well downfield. Gary Jack allows it to go over his head. The free kick now to be taken 11 metres out from the Balmain goal line.
Instead of the other end of the football field in the grand final, Canterbury in a great attacking position.
Dunn goes forward. Hemsley over the top to knock him down 11 metres out from the Balmain goal line. He plays it to Joe Thomas. Bypasses one out to Langmack. Given out now to Gillespie, and Gillespie charges up again to within 9 metres of the Balmain goal line. Back with Thomas. He gives it out to Peter Tunks, but a penalty right in front, and Hemsley over the top of Tunks, but no punches thrown. They just come in to grab the big fella, and the penalty given to the Canterbury Bankstown side.
Right in front of the post in the grand final after 4 minutes, 3 penalties to 0, and the touch judge is in, and Tunks has stopped on a Balmain player whilst in possession of the football. This is a joke. And Peter Tunks over the top of the player, went back and kicked him right in the head. Benny Elias, and the penalty has gone to Canterbury Bankstown. Mick Stone, the referee, the touch judge is in. Sideline eye, Tony Megahey.
Well, I don't know about that penalty. He probably should have sent Tunks off for 5 minutes. That's a
10
joke,
minutes
that
in the
penalty.
sin bin to Peter Tunks. There it is. And Tunks throws the football down. Well, this game has really started. The Canterbury captain, Peter Tunks, in the sin bin. He's given the penalty to Canterbury Bankstown. just the same, but Roach is in the sin bin after 4 minutes, and this game has really erupted, and that is a ridiculous start by Peter Tunks in possession of the football. Benny Elias is down on the ground, and Canterbury Bankstown have got a shot at goal. Sideline eye, Tony Megahey.
Oh, I can't believe it. It should have been up the other end. They should have had a penalty in the opening 2 minutes, Balmain, and led 2-0, and I'm not biased.
Okay, so there it is from Tony Megahey. Elias on his feet, very groggy, and now Terry Lamb with a simple shot at goal, and yet Tunks is in the sin bin. I think he could have changed his result there, Greg. His penalty, I think he should have reversed it, don't you?
He can't reverse it. He's given the penalty, and he just listened to the touch judge's report. He dealt with Tunks in the only fashion possible.
Okay.
And he's suffering now with having 10 minutes in the shed. Well, this kick now to be taken by Terry Lamb, 15 metres out from the far touch line. 15 metres from the goal line as Terry Lamb comes in. It's got height, it's got distance, it's got the 2 points to the Canterbury side.
Canterbury 2 lead Balmain 0 after 5 minutes of the grand final, and what a sensational start, and Mick Stone with his work cut out here. The penalties are 3-0 in favour of Balmain. Peter Tunks 10 minutes in the sin bin in the opening 5 minutes of the grand final for doing a stomp on Benny Elias's head. There's the start of play from Ross Conlon, deep downfield, taken beautifully in the in-goal area.
By Andrew Farah, gives it out now to Nissan. He charges out some 11 metres or so centre field and put down in a heavy tackle over the top by Pearce. Now it's played back once again in the arms of little Jason Alchin, again going 2 metres forward. Up the play, Joe Thomas's dummy half tries to fend off Benny Elias. Elias over the top in a ball and all style fashion to pull him down. He plays it once again. He goes across to Hagan, out to Stephen Folkes. Travels nearly up to his own quarter line before being put away by Hemsley. Thomas at dummy half gives it back once again to Terry Lamb, and he puts the leather well and truly into Tiger territory, but beautifully taken by Gary Jack. 35 out from the line, goes across field. The chasers are up there, and they've got jumping Jimmy Jack, and they've put him to ground. He plays it now to Hanley. Hanley dummies, comes back one way, tries to get away from a second tackle, offloads out now to Conlon, but the Canterbury defence coming over the top to put him down. 34 metres out from the Balmain goal line. Benny Elias at dummy half, penalty now to the Balmain side, this time against Dunn, and also Paul Langmack for laying over the man in possession.
Well, I'm surprised at the lack of discipline from both sides early in the game. Some stupid penalties being given away. Balmain now have the advantage of an extra man, and they've got to use it, but I'm sure our sideline eye Gavin Miller would be stunned at the lack of discipline from both sides in the opening 7 minutes of the grand final. Gavin.
I certainly am, Peter. As I said, possession and position are the key things for Canterbury at this stage with one man short.
Okay, Balmain kicking on the first tackle. Benny Elias kicking deep into the Canterbury quarter. Nissan tidies up for Canterbury. It's 2-0 in the grand final on the Panasonic scoreboard after 7 minutes of play.
Farah in possession now. After that play, the ball, he gets up now after being knocked down by Pobji. Back it goes to Nissan once again. The youngster from Canterbury goes an extra 2 metres. He's 28 away from the Canterbury Bankstown goal line as it's played now to Thomas across to Alchin. Good pass on to Lamb, and again Lamb from his own quarter line. He finds Gary Jack out of position this time. It's going to bounce up over the touchline. It's just going to make it as the flag goes up 32 metres out from the Tigers goal line.
We predicted before the game that kicking was going to be the order of the day here. Field position so important in a grand final, and both sides kicking very early on in the tackle count. Elias kicking on first and second tackles for Balmain, and Canterbury Bankstown kicking on at least second and third. There's a Balmain scrum win.
Michael Neal in possession of the ball, 32 out from his own line. He plays it to Freeman, again across now to Gary Jack. Can't get past a solid tackle by the Canterbury defence. That time going in very strongly was Gillespie. It's back to Elias out once again. It goes to Hemsley, and Gillespie with a grass cutter pulls him down on the 40 metre line. Elias again to Siren and winds up to the big fella. Goes over the top of Stephen Folkes, but Curry's there to pull him down. Back to Elias, centre field. It travels across into the arms once again, but he's got Canterbury Bankstown inside the 5 metre centre field, 40 metres out from the Doggies goal line.
That's 3 all the penalties now, and Mick Stone certainly not letting these two sides get a go at each other. It's already erupted, and now the experience of Stone. Ross Conlon is coming up to have a shot at goal, and sideline eye Tony Megahey.
I can't believe Balmain kicked early in that sequence. I mean, Tunks is off the field. They should have spread the ball.
Yeah, an extra man, and I agree with you, Tony, there. Sideline eye Tony Megahey and Gavin Miller, and over in England, Steve Roach. Well, Roachy, it's erupted, and I'm sure sure you'd love to be out there right at this moment.
Oh, my word, mate, I can't understand why Tunksy didn't kick Hemsley or Sirenen, mate. He picked on little Benny.
Yeah, picked on bouncing Benny, but he had possession of the football too, which was very surprising. He's in the sin bin. Hope we're coming through loud and clear, pal. Great game here so far.
You are for sure, mate. It's great.
Okay, Steve Roach, courtesy of Telecom over there at Warrington, and he's online with us right throughout the grand final. The big test front rower, and you'll be seeing him in Auckland for sure. The big fellow will be in the World Cup side to play New Zealand on October the 9th at Eden Park, and we're looking forward to that. But first things first, here's Conlon from 40 metres out.
Comes in now, more or less centre field, no angle to talk of whatsoever. Waved away, gone dead, no goal. Rossi Conlon missed the first one. What about the shaky legs?
Yeah, and what about the joy in your voice there? What about that going right around the world? With Hartley certainly overjoyed with that result from Ross Conlon, but that was just a cider for him. Here's the dropout from the Chihuahuas, up over the halfway mark, taken on the full by Frog's Eyes Gartner.
And goes across towards the centre of the ground again. Strong defence by Canterbury. They pick Gartner up and put him down back first. He'll play it 40 metres out from the Balmain goal line, back to Elias, out now to Popji, tries to wrestle himself away from Dunn. Dunn's got help, well and truly got hold of him and puts him down. Popji gets up now, pushes him away, it's played to Elias. Out now it goes to David Brooks towards the centre of the ground, 5 short of the halfway line centre field. Balmain in possession of the football as Elias from dummy half goes across to Freeman, a switch of play to Ellery Hanley down the centre of the ground, and the Canterbury defence coming over the top to put the big Englishman down. He'll play it still 2 metres short of the halfway line. Up again now to Freeman, across to Ben Elias. He gets his kicking game well and truly into gear, very wide. It's going to bounce back into the in-goal area, and little Jason Elchin back there. He tries to get the legs pumping, comes out some 6 metres from the in-goal area to be puddled down.
11 minutes gone in the grand final. Canterbury 2 lead Balmain 0 on the Panasonic scoreboard, and Terry Lamb with a penalty goal on the 5th minute, the only point scorer in the grand final. Just repeating, Peter Tunks in the sin bin for 10 minutes.
When Canterbury in possession of the ball, 12 metres out from the Dogs goal line. Joe Thomas is in the dummy half position as Nissen played it. It goes back now to Dunn. A good tackle. It goes out now to Hagan, to Terry Lamb. Wide now to Tony Curry. Out now to Robin Thorne. He tries to come in Freeman, but he's pulled down by Michael Neal. 38 metres out from the Canterbury goal line. Gillespie back now to Langmack, and it goes to Thomas. Out now to Curry. A dreadful pass thrown by Tony Curry. Gone forward, scrum to go down. 36 metres out from the Canterbury Bankstown goal line.
Well, Canterbury Bankstown playing the blind side, and only for that forward pass there were a lot of yards up that touchline. They're seemingly having men over on the blind side. Sideline eye, Tony Megahey.
Yeah, they certainly did. They weren't afraid to move it in the quarter. The same thing inside the quarter. They picked that Balmain blind.
Okay, Michael Popji up for his caution. Surprising, only taken 12 minutes of the grand final for Michael Popji to get a warning from the referee. He had possession of the football. He resented the tackle by Paul Dunn from Canterbury Bankstown.
There was nothing in it, Peter.
There was nothing in it, but he's got to learn, Greg, that he's got to be tackled like anybody else.
Balmain scrum win, picked up by Freeman, out to Ellery Hanley. Let's see now, Terry Lamb's got hold of him, and Lamb pulls him down centre field, 41 metres out from the Canterbury line.
Positional change there. Hanley playing 5'8" off that scrum. Alan, little Michael Neal going to the centre. Here's Gary Jack up the blind side.
Trying to weave some magic, found a small gap. Farah came across field to take the football. Hanley then just a token claim on him as Farah now gets up to play the ball. Back to Thomas, goes across now to Paul Dunn, out to Lamb. Good pass on to Tony Curry, tries to go around Michael Popji, but he rounds him up well and truly, 32 metres out from the Canterbury Bankstown goal line. Robin Thorne at dummy half again. Popji leaning all over him, but he's allowed to play it as it goes out wide to Gillespie. David Brooks there to take care of the cement man as he's pulled down. He lost 2 metres or so. Up there to play Gillespie again to Joe Thomas. Langmack tries to dummy, gets around Ben Elias, but again taken over the top, and a very solid tackle once again by big Paul Sirenen. He's up the play, it's Edwards to Ciro too. It goes to Thomas now, back to Jason Elchin. He finds a little hole, but Ciro dives around the legs once again, 8 metres short of the halfway line to stop the Canterbury fullback. It goes now to Thomas, out to Andrew Farah, gets around 1 or 2, gets into another accidental offside, but he's played the advantage as he...
Oh, you're kidding, Stone. Oh, I don't believe that.
Well, he said he put a shoulder in, but he had a scrum to go with the accidental offside off the Canterbury leg from the kick.
And the tackle was Wayne Pearce, and he was committed to the tackle. No penalty for mine, and he's fallen in for it, Big Stone. Well, if you fall for that at 39, maybe 40 can't come quick enough. And the penalties in the game are 4-3 in favour of Canterbury Bankstown in this grand final. It's 2-0 in favour of the Bulldogs over Balmain. Sideline eye, Tony Megahey.
Another penalty that should have been given. Gee, they can make a difference early or not.
Yeah, they certainly can, and that was the last tackle, and I don't think a penalty should have been given on that occasion.
Elchin trying to go down the blind side after the free kick. He's pulled down 30 metres out from the Balmain goal line. Joe Thomas once again the dummy half. He plays the ball. It goes to Thomas out there to Langmack. Back inside this time to Gillespie in a planned move right up towards the Balmain quarter line. Will get up to play the ball. Does so now. Back to Joe Thomas. From that position he runs across field. He's lost possession of the ball. Dunn manages to dive on it. Ruled to go back towards the Canterbury goal line. Elchin serving up a good pass for Peter. Tunks goes past one, and he's going to get him out of the 5 metres. Once again, a penalty to Canterbury Bankstown on the Balmain quarter line.
Penalty to Canterbury Bankstown, and I'm afraid that we're not going to see much football in this grand final. Peter Tunks had come onto the field there, second man off the ruck, and Mick Stone is just not going to let the game flow at all. Penalties in the game, 5-3. Canterbury's second easy penalty shot for Terry Lamb in the grand final, and I'm afraid that those sort of penalties can do nothing but turn a 40,000 crowd very much sour at the Sydney Football Stadium. Let's see some football, Stoney.
Is kick now to be taken by Terry Lamb on the Balmain quarter line, some 10 metres off centre field. Very easy kick for Lamb. 2 points to 0 in favour of Canterbury Bankstown in the 88 Winfield Cup Final. Gee whiz.
Are we ever going to see a try, or are we just going to see the whistle blown all afternoon?
Lamb now has the ball placed, as I said, 10 metres from the centre. Time blown on by Mick Stone, and the crowd getting a little agitated here.
Yeah, well, they're a bit disappointed. It's not right in front.
There it goes now as the boos go up. So does the ball. So does both flags.
4 points to 0 after 16 minutes of the Winfield Cup Grand Final at the Sydney Football Stadium. Terry Lamb makes it 2 out of 2 from 2 sitters here at the Footy Stadium. On the Panasonic scoreboard, Canterbury 4, lead Balmain 0. Sideline eye, Tony Megahey.
Who said referees wouldn't decide grand finals?
There it is. There's the restart of play from Ross Conlon.
Deep down again, taken by Farrer, right back on his own goal line, straight into the arms of Nissen, who comes out some 18 metres this time from his own goal line and is pulled down by Wayne Pearce. It's played now to Jason Elchin from the back of the ruck. He gets away from there outside his own quarter line. Sirinen over the top, ball and all, in company with Hemsley. Back now to Thomas, centre field. It goes to Dunn. He tries to take the big fella Sirinen on, but Sirinen drops him in his tracks. Joe Thomas once again a dummy half. This time Peter Tunks goes forward, but big Bruce Maguire's there in company with David Brooks, and they pull him down some 28 out from the Canterbury Bankstown goal line. It's back now to Thomas into the arms of Andrew Farrer. He puts the ball down the centre of the ground, bouncing now awkwardly, but taken by Gary Jack. He turns to face the music. Oh, and a beautiful tackle too it was by Stephen Folks. First man into the head. He'll get up to play it. Back now it goes to Hanley out wide to Conlon. Conlon's picked up and given a serve to 38 metres out centre field from the Balmain goal line.
Yeah, great defence by Canterbury Bankstown. They're driving Balmain back in these tackles. 3 men in the tackles, and they're certainly making their tackles feel every inch of it. Balmain feeling everything in these tackles. There's Elias. Elbow down.
Oh, well played by I've sat here and copped that he was hit across the chest.
The
Check the
will be
replay.
in for sure.
The hell he will.
Well, he should be. And Benny Elias put down in back play. No touch judge done in. So they've missed that one. You get on with the call.
Yeah.
4 points
that
to 0
put me off
in
about getting on
favour
with
of
the call.
Canterbury Bankstown.
Canterbury in possession of the football. 10 metres out from their own goal line. Up to play the ball. Back now to Terry Lamb from the back of the ruck up towards his own quarter line centre field. Pulled down by Michael Neal. Getting up the play at this time. It goes to Nissen. He's got his legs chopped from under him once again by little Mickey Neal. Great tackle. Then it goes back to Thomas. Thomas tries to get away from one. He gives it out to Folks, who's cut him open. But again knocked down some 36 metres out from the Canterbury Bankstown goal line. It goes back to Thomas, and the referee has a knock on, and I suppose you want to say Langmack set that bloke on his pants too.
Certainly not. Referee Mick Stone handling this action here okay in the grand final. 4-0 in favour of Canterbury Bankstown, and the scrum to go down now 30 metres out from the Canterbury Bankstown goal line. Sideline eye, Gavin Miller.
Let's hope, Peter, that they concentrate on rugby league instead of cheap shotting each other. I think these, they've proven they're the two most consistent teams in the competition this year, and let's see some football.
Yeah, I agree with you, Gavin, wholeheartedly. And anyway, Balmain now up to the quarter line of Canterbury Bankstown. Paul Dunn giving the penalty away on this occasion for hanging onto the play. Gee, we're not seeing much football, and there's just an avalanche of penalties in the game so far. We've seen 9 penalties, 5 to Canterbury, 4 to Balmain in the opening 19 minutes of play, and 2 of Canterbury's penalties have been right in front of the uprights. Balmain have missed with their only shot at goal, and I hope this game opens up and we see some fast-flowing rugby league. We've seen enough of the tough stuff. Let's see some class.
Now Elias with the free kick out to Freeman, then back out to Gartner. Gartner tries to go through, bounces off one and eventually is knocked to the ground by Thomas. Back to Elias, he gives it out to David. Brooks has got Hemsley in support, but Brooks carries it right up to the 10-metre line. Canterbury end of the ground. Ben Elias, the dummy half. They're a sling outfit in this position. It goes to one, back to Siren, and Siren charges forward and again 5 metres out from the Canterbury Bankstown goal line. Pulled down by Langmack. Elias at dummy half goes across to Freeman, out to Hemsley. He's had the ball jolted out of his possession I should say, and picked up by Hilary Hanley 18 metres away from the Canterbury goal line. Freeman again at dummy half, back out now to Wayne Pearce. He goes over the top of one, eventually knocked to the ground. One tackle left to go. Back to Freeman, a long one across to Ben Elias. He puts pressure on now with a high kick. They're all racing through Michael Neal. They're all there. It's gone up.
It's a try to Benny Elias. Benny Elias has scored. The Tigers are in. Little Jason Olsen. He's not tall enough for fullback, and he's buggled that one up. And it's a try to Balmain. He's knocked it back towards Elias, who was the kicker. Benny Elias has put the ball high. Jason Elchin, who's too small for a fullback. Elias was trailing through. Neil went up for it, knocked it back. Elias dived on the ball. Try to Balmain. And Balmain have levelled it up at 4 points all after 20 minutes of the grand final. And no doubt about it, it was little Michael Neal who went up high, knocked the ball back. Elias diving through on the ball from an onside position, and Balmain have scored to level the grand final at 4 points all after 21 minutes of play.
Kick now to be taken, more or less in front of the Canterbury Bankstown goal post, of course, by Rossi Conlon, the super kicker from the Tigers. He's only 9 metres out from the Canterbury Bankstown goal line, and I don't think he's going to miss this one.
Well, I'm sure Elchin is going to get plenty of high kicks. He's very tiny. He's a specialist halfback. Playing fullback in a grand final is an awesome job. And the young fellow there from Newcastle couldn't handle the high kick.
There's the kick now. They've got the 2 points.
Balmain in front by 6-4. Could this be the start of one of the greatest performances by any side in rugby league history to win from a playoff for 5th? The Tigers in front in the grand final after 22 minutes. Sideline eye, Gavin Miller, Tony Megahey.
Oh, mate, what about the enthusiasm of Neil? A little guy getting up that, he just chased for his life and laid it on for him.
Certainly did. 6-4 to Balmain with the conversion by Ross Conlon. So Balmain in front in the grand final. A try to Elias converted by Conlon, and Stevie Roach over there in England will have a smile on the face of the Tiger at the moment, I'm sure. Balmain in possession through Gary Jack. The Tigers in front 6-4 on the Panasonic scoreboard. Hollywood has gone purple.
Gartner in possession now, 28 metres out from the Balmain goal line. Back it goes to Elias, across now to Hemsley. Hemsley now is going to be dragged to the ground centre field, 35 metres out from the Tigers goal line. It goes back to Freeman, on to Elias. Elias gets his kick downfield. Elchin positioned inside his own quarter line, takes the football, carries it up some 12 metres or so, but he's pulled down in a beautiful tackle, ball and all over the top by Bruce Maguire and David Brooks. Up now to play it. It goes back to Hagan. Across into the arms of Thorne. Thorne tries to get around Sirinen, but Sirinen's there in company with his captain. He plays the ball back. It goes to Thomas again. Out to Stephen Folks. Oh, and Wayne Pearce dives around the legs in a beautiful hit. He plays it to Thomas again. Out to Dunn. Dunn tries to take him on and carries the leather right up to the centre of the halfway line.
Great run by Paul Dunn. He's Canterbury's best forward in this grand final so far. Good, strong run. And this is certainly going to be anybody's game. There's the kick downfield by the the kicker, Paul Langmack for Canterbury.
Picked up this time by Russell Gartner, 10 metres out from his own goal line and very quickly knocked to the ground inside his own quarter line by Gillespie. It's played now to Pobji, goes across to Gary Jack, and he nearly through the gap. Tungsten manages to just get an arm to him to eventually knock him down on the Balmain quarter line. Elias at dummy half gives it back to Bruce Maguire. Maguire beats one, tries to go on all fours, then goes down an extra 12 metres or so.
That try by Benny Elias has certainly ignited this Balmain side. Their forwards, who must be very tired after a long preparation for this game. There's Elias playing it forward. They're getting some strength from somewhere, Balmain. They lead by 6-4.
And the ball from Freeman's boot finds itself well and truly into Canterbury Bankstown territory. Nissen going back to take the football back at his own in goal. Comes out, beats Michael Neal, beats another one or two. Freeman then comes across Burl to knock him down. He gets up to play the ball. Back it goes to Hagan. Hagan goes forward. Up towards his own quarter line centre field and will be knocked down on the 22 metre line. It's played this time to Thomas. Thomas gets around one, tried to get his pass away, but again Freeman over the top. He'll play the ball. Back it goes now into the arms of Langmack. Langmack charges forward but goes down centre field or 30 metres out from the Canterbury Bankstown goal line.
Play settling down now with 16 minutes remaining in the first half. Balmain 6 lead Canterbury 4, and Balmain really snuffing out the kicking of Andrew Farrer in general play. Now it's left to a left foot kick by Steve Folkes, and a very experienced Steve Folkes who's played more than 200 first grade games with Canterbury. He eats grand finals. He's in his 6th one this afternoon, and Folkesy calmly puts the ball over the sideline for a scrum to go down now 30 metres out from the Balmain goal line. Balmain 6 lead Canterbury 4 on the Panasonic scoreboard out of the Sydney Football Stadium.
And the scrum now to go down to be fed by Freeman for Balmain, 40 metres out from the Balmain goal line. He does so now, blatant second row, but go on with it. Out it goes to Neil, out to Gary Jack. He bounces off one, a good run but eventually taken by Jason Alchin. Now it's with Ellery Hanley. He goes from the back of the ruck too, goes up right up towards the halfway line, and a good run by Hanley. Will get up to play the ball. Michael Neal at dummy half, he gives it out to Wayne Pearce. Pearce hits it up strongly too to the advantage line, but eventually stopped 5 metres into Canterbury Bankstown territory. Ben Elias at dummy half, he has a look wide, dummies from the back of the ruck, eventually gets his pass out wide to Sirinen. Sirinen tries to go past big Paul Sirinen, but eventually they catch up with him, and he's knocked to the ground now 38 metres out from the Canterbury Bankstown goal line.
Having a good game, Sirinen, very strong, and Canterbury finding him hard to contain. Here's Pearce taking it up. Oh, you've got to admire these Tigers. They're really starting to find their feet out here. Here's Neal with a high kick. I said Alchin would get plenty of bombs. Here's another one.
And he's beautifully taken the ball and then taken back into the in-goal area by Hanley, but what a great take.
Well, he's ruled a line dropout. He's ruled a line dropout, taking the ball in the field of play, being put back in it by Hanley, and he was spot on. Good refereeing decision, Mick Stone. And, well, Hanley following through. The tactics of Balmain are evident to put the ball high to Jason Alchin. Sideline eye, Tony Megahey.
It certainly is. There are a lot of pressure on Alchin, but I thought Hanley was offside.
Okay.
Only 5 metres.
Here's the drop out now by Andrew Farrer, taken on the full by Gary Jack inside the halfway mark in Canterbury territory. Makes it up 30 metres out from the Dogs goal line.
Up the plate now to Michael Pobji, tries to get away from Dunn. Oh, and he got one for his trouble there too, just quietly. Pobji by Dunn. He now plays the ball back to Ben Elias, holds up a pass for Freeman coming through out wide now to Ellery Hanley. He tries to get around one or two, throws a pass back, picked up on the first bounce by Michael Neal. Out it goes now to young Freeman. Farrer's got hold of him and eventually forced to the ground. 38 out from the Canterbury Bankstown goal line.
And Ellery Hanley's flat on his back. I had to laugh at Pobji. Here's Wayne Pearce through the gap.
Makes a beautiful break downfield, and he goes, he kicks further downfield into the in-goal area, and Alchin takes it out over the dead ball line.
Well, I had to laugh at Michael Pobji. Michael Pobji is certainly looking at the sideline there and asking the touch judges to do something about it. So that's an incredible situation here at the Sydney Football Stadium as Greg Hartley has an argument with a spectator. So here we go here at the Sydney Football Stadium. Another touch judge in, and this game really hotting up at the Sydney Football Stadium. And now we've got the situation with 12 minutes left in the first half. Another caution to Canterbury, but Michael Popji a moment ago, I was about to say, live by the sword, die by the sword, and he's got to expect that sort of thing. If he dishes it out, he's got to cop it. Sideline eye, Gavin Miller.
Well, I hope Jason Alchin's confidence isn't shattered, because he certainly had plenty of time and plenty of opportunity to run that ball out from that in-goal area.
Gavin, it's quite evident he's going to get plenty of high kicks in this game.
Well, there's not a doubt in the world about that.
Okay, here's Gary Jack from the restarted play for Balmain.
Oh, nearly through the gap too. A great run. Oh, he tried to give it away to Conlon. Conlon couldn't hang on to it. Folks picks up the football, goes down for an extra 10 metres or so before being knocked to the ground. 35 out from the line. Plays it back to Nissan. Out wide it goes to Joe Thomas. Hanley's in the centre of the ground. The referee's got to stop this. There's no attack from Canterbury.
He's been taken off Hanley, Greg. He's groggy, and you wouldn't believe it.
Well,
Paul Langmack's just run into him as he's been carried from the field. Stone should have stopped play.
Exactly. Now Gillespie gets a pass back to Dunn. Dunn tries to go forward up to the halfway line, and again Balmain in over the top to knock him down just short of the halfway line in Canterbury territory.
Ellery Hanley's out on his feet as he gets escorted from the field. Farah kicks for the sideline. It's Balmain 6, lead Canterbury 4. What a sensational grand final, and the ball touched by a player in flight. It's ruled to be now a Balmain, a Canterbury Bankstown scrum feed. So Hanley off. We'll check on him as he looks sick and sorry as he goes to the sideline. Scott Gale on 4, Balmain in the centres.
Probably in the headwind at this stage. Canterbury win the scrum. Little Jason Alchin knocked to the ground 30 metres out from the Balmain goal line. He'll get up to play the ball. Back it goes now to Hagan out wide to Dunn, then to Curry. Curry hits it up to the Balmain quarter line before being knocked down. Will play the ball this time. Back it goes to Langmack out to Dunn. Dunn can't handle it. Ben Elias takes the football on the Tigers quarter line, giving them possession. Up now to Platt, across to Hemsley, out now to Freeman. Freeman charges forward, but again the Canterbury defence very strong on the Balmain quarter line.
It's a very spiteful grand final. There's dynamite in every tackle. Wayne Pearce leading by example for Balmain, one of the best forwards on the field, along with Sirinen for Balmain and Dunn for Canterbury Bankstown. And here's big Sirinen again. He's lost the football though as he tries to put Brawn instead of Brain, and he's put down, and now it's Canterbury in possession 40 metres out from the Balmain goal line.
Thorn to Lamb out to Hagan. Hagan stops, comes back inside, tries to beat the defence, but it stood strong. He plays the ball now back to Thomas. It goes out to Tunks, who does a juggling act, gets past Hemley, gives it back now to Jason Alchin. He steps Wayne Pearce, still goes forward, gets past Gary Jack and is pulled down some 15 out from the Balmain line. Joe Thomas at dummy half across to Langmack, a cut out past the Farah. Out wide it goes to Tony Curry, above the head to Langmack, back inside to Gillespie. Gillespie keeps it alive. Out now to Jason Alchin. He stops, tries to start again, and he's knocked down by Paul Sirinen.
And that's brilliant stuff by Canterbury. If they can play that razzle-dazzle football, they'll grab a try very shortly. Grab a kick by Folks.
Folks picked it up now by Nissan. Oh, and he scored, but the referee says the ball has been knocked on, and it was 5 metres out from the Balmain goal line.
Yes, and Canterbury keeping the ball alive. Little Alchin handling the ball twice in that movement. A brilliant raid by Canterbury. Their best of the game so far, and just knocking on there just short of the Balmain goal line. Hanley's off the field, and what else can happen in this game? On the Panasonic scoreboard, it's 6-4 in favour of Balmain over Canterbury Bankstown.
Freeman in possession after the Balmain scrum win. He plays it now to Gartner. Gartner from that position, 10 metres from his own line, gains an extra 5. Up now to play it, back to Ben Elias, again dummying from the back of the ruck. Langmack dives around the legs to pull him down just short of the quarter line.
Well, it's official. Ellery Hanley has got concussion. He's in the sin bin for 10, and right at this moment, Balmain up against the brick wall. Sideline eye, Tony Megahey.
They aren't doing enough Balmain forwards. They look tired to me. They're leaving it to Jack and Freeman and Neil to run it out.
Yeah, the last couple of minutes, Balmain, who looked good 10 minutes ago, seemingly have hit the brick wall. There's Elias with a grubber kick to get them out of trouble. So it's 6-4 on the Panasonic scoreboard in favour of Balmain over Canterbury. But in the last 5 minutes of play, you get the impression that if Canterbury can throw the ball around, maybe they've got the condition to weather the storm here. Sideline eye, Gavin Miller.
Peter, it's in an incredible game here. The momentum of both teams has fluctuated from one team to the other. At the moment it was Balmain, now it's gone back to Canterbury, so it's an incredible game at the moment.
It certainly is. 6-4 on the Panasonic scoreboard in favour of Balmain over Canterbury.
Terry Lamb now from general play gets a kick downfield, chased by Thorne and also Gary Jack. And Gary Jack's first man to the football as Thorne claims him 12 metres out from the Balmain goal line. Conlon from the back of the ruck. He tries to go past one, but again Thorne dives around the legs to pull him down. He's up the flat. This time it's Russell Gartner's turn. Gets inside Lamb, or does he? No, Lamb dives around the legs to pull him down 24 metres out from the Balmain goal line. It's back to Elias. Goes across now out to Wayne Pearce, showing by example, but Joe Thomas is to the fore to stop the Balmain captain. Elias gives it out now to Kerry Hemsley, charging down the centre of the ground. Another tackle by Dunn. Pulls him down centre field, 32 metres out from the Balmain goal line. Freeman back once again, this time to Scott Gale, and a beautiful kick, but rounded up by Jason Alchin inside his own quarter line. Podgy's down there, and the little fella goes to ground, 36 out from the Canterbury Bankstown goal line.
6 minutes remaining in the first half of the grand final. Canterbury starting to throw it around. They've got numbers out to the right.
Oh, out goes wide to Andrew Farah. Gets inside Scott Gale. He gives it out to Nissan. Now he's got too much pace for Sirenen. He comes back inside another. He's got another player on the inside. It's Michael Hagan. Hagan takes off. Hagan's going to score. The Canterbury Bankstown. That's sticking it up, boys.
Yeah, that's a brilliant try by Michael Hagan. The numbers were out wide, and that was good work by Glenn Nissan. The kick from Warragamba Dam, and Canterbury have scored. What a brilliant rugby league try. It was on, and Conlon rushed in from the wing. That gave a two-man overlap out wide. Scott Gale missed big Andrew Farah, and then out to Nissan. Nissan careered away. He got away from Paul Sirenen. The Tigers, we said, were tired. He got inside another defender, gave the ball to Hagan, and the little halfback who's going north to Newcastle next year went in and scored the best try of the grand final after 34 minutes. Canterbury spinning the ball wide. Beautiful stuff. Terry Lamb was a magic pass out wide. Then to Andrew Farah, and Farah did very well. Got away from Scott Gale, who's only on for Ellery Hanley. Then to Glenn Nissan. Oh, they'll be cheering up at Warragamba. It was Gary Freeman. He got inside Freeman, gave the ball beautifully out to Michael Hagan, and the kid from up north, the brother of Bobby Hagan, former great with Canterbury's gone in and scored a vital try just 5 minutes from half time, and Canterbury lead by 8-6, and it was going to come around about 10 minutes ago, that try.
This kick now to be taken by Terry Lamb, a little way to the right hand, upright kicking towards the Moore Park end road here of the Sydney Football Stadium, only 11 metres out, and I'm sure plenty of boos will go up. We're labelled, the ball's gone up, and so are the flags.
Here at Canterbury now, good leaders by 10 points to 6. Terry Lamb makes it 3 from 3 in the grand final. And the positive, the professional Bulldogs go to the lead of 10 points to 6. And the signs are there that the Tigers are almost in tatters. Sideline eye, Tony Megahey.
Well, they look very tight up to that point, but Gale missed tackle on Farah. Set that up.
Yeah, certainly did. It was a bad miss, and Canterbury starting to spin the ball out wide. There's a knock on from the restart of play by Paul Langmack. That put pressure on his side. The Tigers need something, and we've got 3 minutes remaining in the first half. Canterbury Bankstown 10, lead Balmain 6, a try apiece in the grand final. 3 from 3 for Terry Lamb, and this scrum going down just 10 metres from the Canterbury Bankstown goal line. Ellery Hanley still off the field, and that try was scored through where Hanley would have been.
And the scrum feed. Now it's won by Balmain. Straight out now to Scott Gale. Can he make amends for that missed tackle, but pull down 10 metres out from the Canterbury Bankstown goal line. Freeman at dummy half. Will be right back. Pelly to the Balmain side. Indeed, play the ball, raking at it. Well, I thought that was okay. You have a look at the replay.
I don't have to have a look at the replay, Greg. It was Paul Langmack, 2 occasions there in the play the ball, raking it back and putting his hands on the player in front of him. That was a dead set penalty, and referee Mick Stone has picked it up, and I don't need to look at the replay. Langmack being told now to get back to position, and well, he might too. He's not the captain, and he's given away the penalty there, and that's at a vital stage of this first half, and it's certainly a problem there that that Canterbury can't afford to do just after grabbing 6 points. Sideline eye, Gavin Miller.
Well, both teams have certainly looked like scoring in the danger time, which is 5 minutes before half-time. Peter, it was funny, I just saw a situation there where referee Stone waved play on and Langmack give himself up.
Yeah, he certainly did. He did give himself up cold there and then wanted to argue with it after he was pinched. Okay, here's the shot at the goal by Ross Conlon from close range. He should make it 10-8 in the grand final.
18 metres out, a little to the left-hand side, 20 metres in from touch, in fact, on the far side of the ground. As he comes in now, it's got height, it's certainly got distance, and Balmain have got the extra 2.
And here we are, 2 minutes out from half-time on the Panasonic scoreboard. A penalty goal to Ross Conlon, and Balmain sneak a little bit closer. Canterbury 10, lead Balmain 8 in the grand final. 2 out of 3 for Ross Conlon, 3 out of 3 for Terry Lamb, and still anybody's grand final. But I get the impression just prior to half-time that the Dogs of War are going to be the side that will emerge winners in this grand final. Here's the restart of play now by Canterbury Bankstown, just 1 minute 30 seconds out from half-time.
Terry Lamb at the centre of the halfway line. Scott Gale has gone back in to the dressing room. Ellery Hanley on for the Balmain side as game gets underway once again, bouncing into the arms of Wayne Pearce. 11 out from his own goal line. He goes downfield, he's picked up and really put the worth there, and a good tackle by David Gillespie.
Gee, that's hard tackling by Gillespie and also by Langmack, and every tackle, as I said before, loaded with dynamite, and they're certainly tackling like their life depends on it, and it certainly does in a grand final. There's nothing for the losers but despair, but for the winners there's a lot of glory at the end of what has been a long, hard road, the Winfield Cup, the holy grail of rugby league in Sydney.
Back it goes now to Freeman, to Elias. He gets his kick downfield this time again, won't find the touch line. Jason Elton comes in to take it 30 out from his own line. He gets up over the 40-metre line, sidesteps 1 or 2, but the big Tiger defence over the top, 5 short of the halfway line.
And Langmack's on the sideline off the field. I think his shoulder's popped out, or his elbow, and he's in a lot of trouble at the moment down there on the sideline. Play goes on via Tony Curry. Just 20 seconds left in the first half. It's going to be 10-8 to the Dogs at half-time over the Tigers.
Up now to play it back to Thomas, goes across to Tunks. Tunks carries it up over the halfway line.
Edmed on for Balmain, and Kerry Hemsley off.
Sips it out then to Dunn, then a further pass sees Stephen Folks go to ground. Now it's played back, it goes to Gillespie. He just gets rid of Benny Elias, but then eventually is knocked to the ground, gets up to play the ball, as the siren goes.
Half-time, 10-8 in the grand final, so still anybody's game. Canterbury 10, a try to Michael Hagan, 6 minutes out from half-time. Oh, what a beauty it was. 3 goals from 3 for Terry Lamb, and for Balmain, a Ben Elias try in the 21st minute after a high kick that Elias had put up, and it was spilled by little Jason Elchin in the in-goal area. Ross Conlon's kick 2 out of 3. The scrums in the game are 6-2 in favour of Balmain, 6-2 at half-time. The scrums and the penalties at half-time are 5 apiece. And the second half underway. Here's Hollywood, and I think he's going to bark the little fellow.
Yes, done in possession, 30 metres out centre field from the Canterbury Bankstown goal line, and a good tackle by Edmed. It's played back to Joe Thomas, gives it now into the arms of Terry Lamb, and he gets his kick downfield, but Gary Jack, beautifully positioned, 26 out from his own goal line. He goes up, tries to beat the tackle out wide of Tony Curry, but to no avail. Now it's played to Gartner. Gartner goes wide from the back of the ruck and is pulled out on the halfway line. 5 metres in from touch. A good spread for the Tigers. Jack across now to Neil. Out into the arms of Bruce Maguire. Maguire's picked up and driven into the turf too. 2 metres short of the halfway line. Ben Elias from the back of the ruck serves it up now to the big fella going through in Paul Sirenen, but he's knocked down after a 6-metre gain. Slightly into Canterbury Bankstown territory. Ben Elias from the back of the ruck tries to go underneath the tackle that time of Paul Langmack, but again goes down after gaining 2 metres. They've got 1 left to go now, the Tigers. It goes across to Brooks at dummy, half out wide to Michael Neal. His kick is charged down. There's a scramble for possession of the ball. Michael Neal gets to it first to his credit, but then he's taken in the change of possession as Canterbury plays it now to Andrew Farrer. Ferris trying to get away from the tackle of 1 or 2, and Ross Conlon comes in and a fine tackle up over the top to put him down. Thomas had dummy half out now to Nissan, and again Conlon chases his man across field. They pick him up and drive him into the turf 3 metres over the halfway line. Nissan getting to his feet now. Joe Thomas at dummy half again. It's called by Langmack when he receives it, tries to go forward. Edmed stands his ground and drags him down 8 metres into Balmain territory. Plays it now to Thomas. Thomas sends it wide out to Hagan. A switch of play. It didn't work and Tunks has put out of business. Not in possession of the ball, but the tackle effective too it was. Over the top by Bruce Maguire. It's played now to Thomas. He gives it to Terry Lamb. Lamb finds a hole between Ross Conlon and the fullback Gary Jack, and it's going to go down. Oh, and Conlon slips over only a metre out from his own goal line and quickly taken over the top, that time by Glenn Nissan.
Well, Balmain certainly finding themselves in a lot of trouble at the moment. No Hillary Hanley there to provide the magic out wide, and they seem to have hit the brick wall early in the second half. Only 2 minutes gone in the second half, but the signs are there that the Tigers have run their race for 1988, but they've got so much spirit in their side that you can never write them off. But at this moment, they're struggling hard out there against a very professional Canterbury side who seem to have all the answers. Here's Maguire, and he's getting the pass away to Surinan, and now out to Neil, but there's no get up and go, no effervescence, no Tiger in the Tigers' tank at the moment.
Freeman now back to Ben Elias, and he gets his kick down. Oh, it's a beautiful kick too from little bouncing Benny Elias up over the touchline, down in Canterbury territory, 40 metres out from the Doggies' goal line.
Well, Balmain, as I said, they'll fight, but they're going to have to. They're right up against it now. They trail by only 10-8, but they've really got to find something somewhere out there at the moment. Sideline eye, Tony Megahey.
Well, as you said, Peter, they're struggling to get out of their half. It's a Canterbury feed, but ever so certainly they're struggling to get out of their half. Canterbury's getting that full position on them.
Yeah, they certainly are. Here's a scrum feed by Terry Lamb.
Yes, and it's going to be a Canterbury scrum with Lamb straight out now. It goes to Hagan. Neil up very quickly. Hagan stands his ground. He quickly plays it back to Jason Ouchin from the back of the ruck. The little man gets around 1 or 2, but another good tackle that time. My Edmed drags him to ground. Also, Surinan involved. It plays now to Langmack going across towards the centre of the ground. And again, good strong defence from the Balmain Tigers to pull him to ground 8 metres short of the halfway line.
Gee, David Brooks is doing well for a man that's been in hospital all week and in terrible trouble to just get on the field. And he certainly typifies the spirit in this Balmain side. But this professional, hardened Canterbury side standing in the tackle now is done. Getting it away to Lamb.
Lamb's got a man out wide. It's Nissan. He picks his head back. Nissan goes forward, but Gartner's had a beautiful try-saving tackle. Russell Gartner puts him over the touchline 2 metres out from the Balmain goal line.
Magnificent tackle by Russell Gartner. You've got to give them 10 out of 10. That was going to be a try for all money and a beautiful fin, but Gartner coming across and taking the young fellow from Warragamba, Glenn Nissan, over the corner line. Good stuff that. Beautiful play by Canterbury. Magnificent defence by Balmain. Champagne Rugby League here at the Sydney Football Stadium. 4 minutes into the second half, and old Frog's Eyes Gartner. What a magnificent tackle that was, and a good attacking play again by Canterbury to get the ball outside the Balmain defence.
Scrum win to the Balmain side. They've taken their penalty. They have their free kick inside their own quarter. Freeman across now to Michael Neal. He's taken by Terry Lamb over the top on the Tigers quarter line. Elias shows it to one. He gives it out now to Bruce Maguire, who steps one, gives it back to Scott Gale, but Gale has pulled to the ground that time over the top by Andrew Farrer. Now it's played to Elias. Back now it goes to Edmed. He tries to get rid of Farrer and does so too until Tunks arrives on the scene 36 metres out from the Balmain goal line. Up there to play the ball. Elias again from the back of the ruck. He gets his pass away. It's gone astray. Picked up by Edmed. Flicks it out the back door now to David Brooks. He's taken on by Terry Lamb and also Stephen Folkeson, pulled to the ground 8 short of the halfway line.
Yeah, Edmed and Tunks having a bit of a set too. The young fellow Edmed quite happy to take on the international. There's a kick by Scott Gale, and it's going to not find touch. It's into the in goal area, so it'll play or restart with a tap from the corner. Balmain are bunched up at the moment and having a lot of problems. Touch judge in now, 2 touch judges in, and this will be for the set 2 between Edmed and Paul Dunn. Come on fellas, it's a grand final. Don't put skirts on the front rowers, for heaven's sake. Nothing, no problem there. They just pushed and shoved and went away. away, and nothing happened there that you wouldn't see in any other grand final. That's ridiculous. Let's go down to the sideline. Sideline eye, Gavin Miller.
Yeah, don't treat them like schoolboys, Peter. They're big grown men.
Yeah, I agree. I just think that's ridiculous, Gavin. I mean, they didn't hurt each other. A bit of push and shovies. Let's get on with the game. What do you think?
I agree. They should cut this nitpicking out and get on with it.
Okay, there it is from one of the tough men, and he's got to cop plenty in a game. Gavin Miller, I mean, the front rowers, Edmed and Dunn, didn't do anything wrong. Front rowers having a set two with no one else involved in grand finals. Heavens above. Okay, on with the action. It's 10-8 in favour of Canterbury over Balmain on the Panasonic scoreboard.
Canterbury in possession via Dunn, some 38 metres out from the Canterbury Bankstown goal line. He plays it now to Thomas, goes across to Langmack, out now to Gillespie, tries to step one or two. Sirenan's there, he gets his pass to Lamb, out wide now, it goes to Curry. He offloads to Nissen and tries to come back inside, but he's going to be wrapped up 5 short of the halfway line. Playing the ball this time to Stephen Folks. One man down for Canterbury, it goes across to Terry Lamb. He tries to find a gap, it closes up, offloads out wide to Dunn. Dunn's allowed to stand, he gives it back now to Jason Alchin. And again, the Balmain defence very strong as Alchin's pulled down 8 metres short of the halfway line.
Well, Balmain having trouble handling Dunn, and there's that man Farrer again, not kicking for the sideline, just for field position, and it's over to Russell Gartner's wing. He picks it up a couple of metres out from his own goal line. Good run from Gartner, but he's going to be put over the sideline.
Well, he threw it back in the touch. Lamb's picked it up, and he's given Canterbury Bankstown possession inside the Balmain quarter line.
Bad play by Gartner on that occasion.
Thorne now at dummy half, gives it across now for a settler. Dunn tries to take it up. He won't try to offload in that spot. He's 15 out from the Balmain goal line. It's played now to Joe Thomas. Goes across now to Alchin.
6 more tackles, Greg.
Out wide to Andrew Farrer. Farrer nearly through the gap, but a saving tackle by Edmedden Conlon. Pulls the centre down. Will play the ball centre field, 12 metres out from the line. Back now it goes to Alchin from the back of the ruck. He tries to go forward, and again still 8 metres short of the Balmain goal line.
The Tigers are torn apart. Here come the Bulldogs right now.
Thomas goes out wide to Langmack. He shows it to one. Still can't get rid of his football, and he finds himself 10 metres out from the Balmain goal line. Another good tackle by Wayne Pearce. Thomas at dummy half out now to Tunks. Tunks drops it off the end of the toe. Gary Jack scrambles back into the in-goal area, tries to take it, and he's put down goal line dropout.
Well, the Dogs at war at the moment have got all the answers for Balmain. Balmain gallant as they come, but they've run out of juice, the Balmain Tigers, and Canterbury know it. I think they're going to grind their way to this grand final win. 9 minutes gone in the second half. No change to the half-time score. Canterbury 10, lead Balmain 8. Sideline eye, Tony Megahey.
Yeah, they've got their fingernails on the cliff, Balmain. They're going to be back under pressure again now.
Certainly are, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's field goal time coming up for Canterbury Bankstown. They've got 6 tackles, and there's Alchin now. Tackle 40 metres out.
It's Hagan Pete, but he's put down on a beautiful tackle by Wayne Pearce. He drove the shoulder into him. He placed it now to Alchin, who gives it off now to Nissen from the back of the ruck. He's knocked to the ground after gaining 6 or 7 metres.
They're working it for a field goal already.
By Edmed, it's back to Thomas. He gives it out now to Dunn. Dunn charging again down the centre, as Peter said, towards the Balmain quarter line. Up to play it to Thomas. They want to go down the blind side. Langmack handles. He's through the gap. He gives it out wide now to Robin Thorne. Thorne comes inside one. Can't get his pass away. 1 metre out from the Balmain goal line. He plays the ball. It goes to wide to Langmack. Dunn charges forward. He flicks it out the back door to Joe Thomas, who beats 1 or 2, and he's 1 tackle left to go.
Oh, he can smell the line, but he couldn't put it over.
He plays the ball now back to Tunks. It goes out wide, out to Folks. Folks gives it to Gillespie. Gillespie goes over to score a try for Canterbury Bankstown.
Well, David Gillespie's in up the blind side. Gee, I thought he might have thrown the ball at the line. Let's have a look at it on the replay. Gillespie has gone in after 1 tackle up the blind side. Canterbury went. It was from Tunks, a flick pass out wide, and it was into the arms of, oh no, he's put the ball down fairly. He's plonked it down for the try. Cement has gone in. David Gillespie, 10 minutes into the second half, and I'm afraid the Balmain Tigers may have come to the end of a gallant run in the Winfield Cup. They had to win 7 7 in a row, and I think that's beyond them now. 14-8 leaders are Canterbury, Bankstown. Gillespie up the blind side for the try. Good smart thinking by Paul Langmack. Gee, Langmack's a good player in a big game. Up the blind side it went. It was a flick from Paul Langmack out to a player in support there. Could have been Stephen Folkes, and then Gillespie in for the try. The official attendance today, 40,000 at the Winfield Cup Grand Final. That's a capacity house, a ground record, 40,000. Earl Thomas went so close to scoring. He was put back by Pobji and Elias, and then up the blind side again, and there it was, a try to David Gillespie, and the boy from Balmain in New South Wales, and his nickname Cement, and he's as tough as they come, and Gillespie has scored the try to propel the Bulldogs to a 14-8 lead in the Winfield Cup Grand Final, and they look like premiers for 1988.
This kick now to be taken by Terry Lamb on the quarter line, right on the touch line. He's got it up. What's he got? Waved away, no goal.
That's his first miss for the afternoon, 3 out of 4. But the try to Gillespie gives Canterbury a 6-point lead, and now will come the time for field goals for Canterbury to get the 7-point buffer. Sideline eye, Gavin Miller.
I'm pretty sure, Peter, that was the last tackle, and the Balmain defence didn't anticipate them to run the ball blind.
Certainly a great pass from Paul Langmack again there. He's having a great game, Gavin.
Langmack's having a great game, and at half-time we thought he mightn't come back on with a shoulder injury, but he's certainly toughed it out.
Yeah, he certainly has. His Canterbury Bankstown now in possession from the kick-off. 12 minutes gone in the second half of the 1988 Grand Final. 14-8 on the Panasonic scoreboard in favour of Canterbury. Hollywood.
Yeah, Jason Alchin put out a business 2 on tackle 2. He's up there to play it. It goes across to Dunn off a Joe Thomas pass, and he charges forward. A lunge more than a charge. He was, both feet were off the ground. He was airborne, but now he's played it back to Thomas. He only gains 2 metres or so. He's 20 out from the Canterbury goal line. Farah easily gets around Freeman that time. Plenty of time, as was predicted he would have in this second half, and the ball's going to go over the touchline. 14 metres out from the Balmain goal line.
Well, the professionalism of Canterbury Bankstown coming to the fore now, and Phil Gould's done a marvellous job with this side. They're very cool, they're very calm in a crisis, and Balmain are being locked up in jail inside their own quarter line persistently in the second half, and 12 minutes gone in the second half, and they've hardly been out of their own territory. So the dogs of war are locking them up, and they've got to try and get out down the other end of the football field. They're a converted try away from even levelling this grand final, so it's a long road ahead for the Tigers now in this grand final. It's slipping away.
Conlon in possession on his own quarter line, gets up, no marker, and a good run too. 10 metres gained by Ross Conlon for Balmain. He's 30 out centre field, plays it back to Ben Elias, a good play across now to Bruce Maguire. He steps inside one, the pass has gone astray, picked up by Hagan for the Canterbury Bankstown side, and he's pulled down 10 metres into Balmain territory.
And there's the tactics of Canterbury. They're so simple. You know, a 2-year-old could pick them. Play the ball down in Balmain territory, wait for the mistake and attack from there, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Now they're thinking about that 7-point lead and the 88 Cup.
And Tongue's flicking one out for Joe Thomas. They still haven't put him down, and eventually he's dragged to the ground. We'll play it 38 metres out from the Balmain goal line to Jason Alchin. A dummy half gives it across to Dunn. He comes inside one. He gives it back now to Thomas across to Hagan, but Maguire and Brooks have got him well and truly tapped as he's pulled to the ground 40 metres out from the Balmain goal line. Getting up the play to Joe Thomas, goes across now to Terry Lamb. Lamb again puts the kick up over the head of the black and goals. It's going to bounce into the in-goal area. Gary Jack down there. He better hurry up to get into the field of play, and he does so. A good run from Gary Jack, but he's 10 out from his own goal line.
It's going to be interesting. Greg Steve Mortimer said he didn't want to come on. He's a reserve on the reserves bench, and right at this moment they don't need Turvey, and I would say that he would be asking Phil Gould probably not to put him on in this situation there. 6 points in front, and they look as though they've got the cup all tied up. Well, although there are 25 minutes left for play.
Still plenty of time, Pete.
Balmain need a converted try like Miss Piggy needs a facelift.
Edmed now plays it now to Freeman. He gives it out to Wayne Pearce, leading by example on the Balmain side, inside their own half, 10 metres short of the halfway line. It's played now to Freeman, to Elias, and again Elias gets his kick downfield, and that's going to be a good one too. It goes over the touchline just outside the Canterbury quarter line, but the Dogs have got the feed.
Okay, let's go over to Warrington in England. Steve Roach, the Balmain Tigers in desperate lead of a try, Hanley off, and they're looking in a lot of trouble, Blocker.
Mate, I still think we can come back, we'll hang in there if we can get up their end. I think Canterbury are playing that waiting game where they get down to our 25, as you said, and they attack. They seem to be playing very cool, but I think if Balmain can get in their half and we can launch an attack from there, we're still in the game, mate. There's 25 minutes to go.
Okay, mate, you hang in there. Here's one of the best players for Canterbury, and up over the 30-metre line is their lock forward, Paul Langmack.
It's played now to Thomas. He goes straight back to Farrer, and Farrer gets his kick downfield. They're all offside.
Oh, that's come off a Canterbury player.
Well, he's played the advantage. He's done the right thing. Do you want a scrum to go down, and Balmain would lose the advantage? Accidental
offside. The Canterbury player was in front of the man.
I know, Pete, but it's accidental offside. He should have
been a penalty up where he kicked it.
The same with the one further downfield too.
No, it should have been a penalty.
I'll explain the rule to you.
I don't want to know the rule. You didn't even know the rules when you had the whistle in your mouth.
I'll show you the rule.
Yeah, I keep thinking back to 1980 when your arm, it was a mechanical arm going up one way all afternoon to Canterbury Bankstown. We don't have to cop that again from you.
Whatever you say. Balmain in possession of the ball. Edmed now going wide on. A good run too by Edmed, looking for support but none available, and he's right up to the 30-metre line, Canterbury into the ground. They're not done yet, the Tigers. It goes across to Elias to Freeman. Good pass out now to Scott Gale, who sends one wide to Conlon. Conlon gets his kick in downfield, but again picked up this time by Hagan. Oh, and Hagan's going to be knocked to the ground. We'll get up to play the ball. Nissen a dummy half, giving his forwards a bit of a spell as he goes across. Phil steps inside one, but Sirenan's there. Still 30 metres out from the Canterbury Bankstown goal line to knock him to ground.
16 minutes gone in the second half of the grand final. The Tigers still in there fighting hard with some good defence, but there's a great tackle by big Paul Siranan on Paul Dunn, and the two gladiators have had a rip snorter of a battle out there today, but they'll have a beer together tonight. That's what this great game's all about. 14-8 in favour of the Dogs over the Tigers on the Panasonic scoreboard, and we've got 22 minutes left of the 1988 Premiership.
Playing the ball, Michael Hagan for Canterbury, back to Joe Thomas, out now to Terry Lamb. Lamb gets his kick downfield too, and it's going to go over the touchline. Oh, touch and goal. No, it doesn't, over the touchline. Only 5 metres out. Well, it wasn't even 5, Pete, where it crossed, but the mandatory scrum will be 5 metres.
Great kick by Terry Lamb. Isn't he a marvellous player, bar in a grand final? And they've just locked Balmain up. Here we are now, 17 minutes into the second half, on only 2 occasions of Balmain being inside the Canterbury Bankstown quarter. Territorially, it's all Canterbury. They've scored 2 tries to 1 and they lead 14-8.
Scrum to go down, won by Balmain. Freeman up, it gives it to Gary Jack. Jack tries to get through the tackle of Terry Lamb and Jason Alchin, but again pulled down. Freeman at dummy half, this time out to Michael Pobji. He comes back in as easy pickings for the cover defence to knock him down. Playing a 12 out from the Balmain line. To Elias, back to Maguire. Dummy still goes forward up towards his own quarter before he's picked off over the top that time by Michael Hagan and Terry Lamb. He plays it to Ben Elias. Elias shows it to one, gives it back to Wayne Pearce, bounces off one. He beat Tunks Cole there, but again Terry Lamb's to the fore. Now it's played. Back it goes this time to Scott Gale. He's kicked downfield too. I think it's going to be a good one, but Jason Alchin there. He's got support, tries to go on his own, gets past one, but then Freeman grabs him by the shirt tail to pull him down. 36 out from the Canterbury Bankstown goal line.
Well, Canterbury just methodically playing out time in this game, getting up to a position where they kick the ball deep, and they're just locking Balmain up, and there's no answers from the Balmain side. Sideline eye, Gavin Miller, what can Balmain do to just change the trend of this game? They're locked up, and they've run out of juice.
That's true. Talking about running out of juice, Peter, it looks like like Tunks are struggling, but they've got to get good field position by a good strong kicking game, Pete, but they certainly haven't got the momentum at the moment to go forward to be able to execute that.
No, they certainly haven't. They're in a lot of trouble. There's a kick again downfield by Andrew Farah, and there's a penalty to the Balmain side. This is for the Canterbury Bankstown side. It's the downtown heading off before the kicker and also stopping Ben Elias from getting to the kicker, Andrew Farah, and that was Langmack giving away the penalty. So now the trend of what's been happening for the last 10 minutes has changed, and now what can Balmain do? Scott Gale coming up and finding the sideline now, a couple of metres out from the quarter line of Canterbury Bankstown. Balmain, can they do anything? Is there anything left deep down inside that marvellous Tiger spirit?
Free kick out by Elias to Freeman, then straight into the arms of Ross Collin, who is just outside the Canterbury Bankstown quarter line. Then Elias at dummy half, giving it out now to Edmed. He changes direction, goes inside, gets a pass to David Brooks, who has knocked the football on, so a scrum to go down. Just a shade out of the Canterbury Bankstown quarter line and the feed to the Puppy Dogs.
Yeah, well, Balmain just haven't got it today. They're making too many mistakes. The professional side is making all the running, and that's just typical of what's gone on today for the Balmain side. Brooks down injured now. They can't get out of this hole, unfortunately. The grand final, gallant Balmain getting there, but the professional side is going to run out the winners, and that's Canterbury Bankstown this afternoon. Sideline eye, Gavin Miller.
Yes, Peter, when fatigue sets in, that's when mistakes start creeping into your game, and that's exactly what's happening at the moment.
Yeah, it's sad, Gavin, because they've been so gallant getting here, but this extra game's been too much for them.
Well, it looks that way at the moment, Peter. There's still 19 minutes to go, so you can't really tell what's going to happen. But I will say this at the moment, they're being very professional at their attitude. One against the head.
One against the head by Benny Elias, so maybe Balmain have got a flutter in them.
They sure have it. It goes out now to Wayne Pearce. I'm not writing them off with only 6 the difference.
Of course you're not, because you're a mock.
It goes now out to Ben Elias at dummy half. Then out now to Freeman. Freeman gets out of the blocks, but again pulled down over the top by Peter Tunks. He's up now to play the ball. Back it goes to Elias. Out now to Paul Siren, and he gives it to Edmed. Edmed beats Terry Lamb, but then it's taken by Joe Thomas. He flicks it out the back door, and it's picked up this time by Canterbury's Robin Thorne.
Greg, I ask the question now. Canterbury well inside the 5 there, in front of their own uprights. In the first half, there were penalties for that. Because we're in the second half, are the rules different? Question mark.
Okay, Canterbury Bankstown in possession of the ball up to the Canterbury quarter line. Folks, the man playing the ball back now. It goes to Hagan. Out now to Nissen. He charges forward, and Edmed comes at him to put him down after a 10-metre gain. 31 out from the Canterbury goal line. It goes across to Thomas. Out now to Peter Tunks. He offloads this time to Alchin. Alchin was going to try and get rid of it, but Benny Elias come in to put him away. He'll play the ball this time to Paul Langmack. He looks for Peter Tunks, but he bypasses him. Gives it out to Andrew Farah. Again, Farah's not right on target with that kick, but he's put it down into the arms of Gary Jack, and Gary Jack takes it right up to within 10 metres of the halfway line.
Balmain needs some help from somewhere, but looking at their back line, it's yards slower than Canterbury's today. I never thought I'd say that a Canterbury side was that had too much pace in the back line, but when you look at Pobji and also Ross Conlon out there in the backs, no Hanley, and Michael Neal's no speedster, neither's Freeman, and there's just no pace in that back line. Canterbury are smothering them all over them in the back line and handling them in the forward. So Canterbury have got all the answers at the moment with 17 minutes left in the grand final. Scott Gale kicks downfield, but Ben Elias now faced with the problem of trying to win against the feet again.
Well, this scrum now to go down just outside the Canterbury Bankstown quarter line, and Balmain again back into that position if they can win another one against the head. Well, Benny's been doing it all year, as we see Terry Lamb come up this time. It's a Canterbury scrum win, didn't even go in, and Lamb now faced with the prospect of getting up to play the ball. Back to Jace to Hagan, across now to Tony Carey. He's been pretty darn quiet too, but Scott Gale goes low to pull him down. He'll play the ball this time. Alchin a dummy half. He looks for Dunn, gives it out to Dunn now. He straightens up the attack, takes little Michael Neal on, and Carey carries Neil down the field at extra 10 metres, 40 short of his own goal line. It's back now to Alchin. Down it goes into the arms of Hagan. He does a 360, all dressed up with nowhere to go that time. Michael Hagan, 5 metres short of the halfway line. Langmack a dummy half now, gives it across to Farah. Farah gets his kick in this time. Conlon again takes the football just outside his own quarter line. This time he offloads to Jack. Conlon on the wraparound. He beat 3 of the defenders, but a beautiful tackle that time by Terry Lamb, pulls him down. He plays it now to Neil, across to Gary Jack. Jack comes inside one. Oh, can't get past the tackle that time of Peter Tungsten. He's pulled down centre field, still 10 metres short of the halfway line. Elias trying to get away up towards the halfway line, and he's knocked to the ground that time by Langmack. He plays it this time to Pobji. Pobji out to Sirinen. Sirinen allowed to stand, but still can't flick his ball away, and he's pulled down right smack dab in the centre of the ground, a shade over the halfway line.
Rugby league's a marvellous game, but I always thought the rules applied in both halves. What went on in the first half, not going on in the second half.
Up there to play the ball, Freeman. Back it goes to Scott Gale. He races through from the back of the ruck. It's going to be a good kick, but the bounce evades him, and Canterbury dive on the loose football just outside their own quarter line.
Yeah, and who else to dive on it but Michael Hagan. Brilliant little bit of play there by Hagan, and he just soaked up a bit of time. Good play by Scott Gale. They need the initiative like that. They need something special from a special player, and Gale almost brought it off there. Coming on for Canterbury Bankstown in a few moments will be Brandon Lee. Played at Penrith last year, and he's going to come into the game for this Canterbury Bankstown side. 15 minutes left in the grand final. 14-8. The chance going up for the Tigers as Tony Curry makes the break.
Oh, a beautiful break too. He's around Gary Jack. The kick's up. Conlon's there. Plenty of Canterbury players also. Oh, and Langback goes up with one tackle left to take the football. 12 out from the Tigers line. It's played to Terry Lamb. Out now to Jason Alchin. He keeps it alive. Back to Terry Lamb. And the Canterbury side has won this grand final by Terry Lamb. Great try.
Yeah, Terry Lamb in for the try. 18-8. And the Dogs of War are home again. Very professional side. The bounce favoured them from the Tony Curry kick. And Terry Lamb, the best backer up in rugby league. It was Alchin out wide from the forward pass, but who cares? The ball standing up, and Terry Lamb in for the try. Big Stone too far back there to pick it up, but Alchin standing up, and the pass from Alchin to Terry Lamb was a good one. The one prior to that was forward, but Terry Lamb on the last tackle. They've scored 2 tries on the last tackle this afternoon. Tony Curry kicked the ball ahead and over Gary Jack's head, led the charge, and racing through, it ball bounced over his head, and it was Langmack who took the ball, and then Terry Lamb was dummy half, and looking at Lamb from dummy half, the first pass I thought was forward. The forward pass to Alchin. Alchin then got away from the defence, stood up, gave it back inside to Terry Lamb, and Lamb went in and scored the try. 18-8 with Terry Lamb. It'll be 20-8, and the slaughter is now on. What a shame for Balmain, but they were never going to win this grand final after about 35 minutes of the game. So here we are with 13 minutes left for play, and Canterbury have got it all wrapped up at 18-8.
And this kick now to come by Terry Lamb, 12 metres out from the Balmain goal line. And I'm sure he'll add the extra 2, but we'll wait and see as he comes in now, little Barbar, and he's put it straight over the black top. 20 points to 8.
20 points to 8, Terry Lamb. A try and 4 goals from 5 attempts. 40,000 at the Sydney Football Stadium. We came in great expectation of a wonderful grand final, and unfortunately it hasn't turned out that way. Balmain out on their feet and really haven't had the momentum to go on, but never mind, they've tried hard and they're not going to give up. But the grand final is going to go to the Dogs of War for Canterbury Bankstown, and the mistakes coming now, as Gavin Miller said, tied sides make mistakes, and there's one from the kickoff, and the Dogs are home, and Hartley is about to bark.
Okay, back now to the centre of the halfway line for the penalty kick, and as Peter said, fatigue, as did Gavin Miller, when it sets in, well, that's just happened to the Tigers now. I still think it's been a great game of football, particularly, Peter, as far as the defence has been concerned. There's been no shirking on either side.
Because your Chihuahuas are going to win the comp, that's all.
And I'm going to give you heaps in 89, baby. You will not know what's going to happen in 89.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to spend summer anywhere near you. Canterbury are home. It's 20 points to 8, and the Dogs and Hartley are going to celebrate tonight.
And we're not done yet as Canterbury make a break right up into the Balmain quarter line. Plays it now back to Joe Thomas once again out to Stephen Folks. He carries the leather further downfield, 15 metres out from the Balmain goal line. Thomas a dummy half. It goes across to Lane Mack. He dummies. He's through that gap. Still goes 10 metres down from the Balmain goal line. Getting up the Plaid. Gary Jack was the tackler. Back it goes to Thomas. Across down to Paul Dunn. Steps 1 or 2. Still going. Had a look back to offload, but pulled down 5 metres out from the Balmain goal line.
I hope it doesn't turn into a slaughter, Greg, because Balmain don't deserve that, but I think it's going to happen, mate, with 11 minutes to go.
Hagen now showing some magic with those beautiful hands, but again he's going to be wrapped up. Bruce McGuire's got hold of him. He quickly plays the football. Back it goes to Thomas. 1 tackle left to go. Terry Lamb's kick as a shocker goes straight up. Oh, but it's taken by Stephen Folks. A pop over the top that time to by Curry. Out now to Thorne. Thorne races through. He kicks downfield, but it goes over the touchline, so a scrum Pete will go down 5 out from the Balmain goal line.
Yeah, and the scrum feed's going to go to Canterbury, and I fear that there's more ahead for this Canterbury Bankstown side. There's a roar going up as Steve Mortimer comes into the grand final. Well, Toby said he didn't want to come on if it didn't mean anything.
But I knew he would, Peter.
Of course you knew he would. 20 points to 8.
And only a fitting thing for him. He's been the backbone of Canterbury for 10 years, and he should be able to walk off there with his head high.
I don't agree. I think that they've done it without him, and if he couldn't start the game, I don't think he should finish it. And quite frankly, he didn't want to, and I'm surprised he's going on with 10 to go. Gavin Miller, what do you think?
Well, I disagree, Peter. I'd like to congratulate Phil Gould for paying one of the greatest rugby league players the tribute of possibly his last grand final appearance for the club.
Yeah, but it's a token one, and the game's gone.
Well, I'm not so sure about whether there's ever such a word as a token grand final win, is there?
No, but a token grand final appearance, I mean, at 20 points to 8, you could put Pluto on.
Well, that may be the case, but I think it's just recognition for his service to Canterbury.
Okay, well, he didn't want it, but he's got it out there now anyway. 20 points to 8, and, well, who can knock Phil Gould for that? I mean, I'm certainly not going to, but I just thought that maybe it was pre-arranged not to happen, and maybe he's just had a change of mind. Certainly 20 points to 8, it's a big scoreline, and Turvey, well, he maybe can put on a try.
Houghton back to Laymack, the kick's on, and it's a try to Canterbury. It's another try to Canterbury Bankstown, and this time the try has been scored. Trying to pick him up now. I can't pick him up. They've converged all over the top of him, but another try to the Dogs.
Yeah, and the Dogs at Canterbury are really celebrating. Glenn Nissen, it was a grubber kick through by out wide. Who was it again? It was Terry Lamb. Hagen, Michael Hagen it was. The grubber kick through, and flying through was Glenn Nissen, and he's put it down one-handed, and Nissen in for the try for Canterbury Bankstown, and the Canterbury Bankstown side now lead by 24 to 8, and there are still 9 minutes left in the grand final. 9 minutes left, it's 24 to 8, and Steve Mortimer's on the field. So Glenn Nissen, in his first year, being congratulated from up there at Warragamba in the Penrith Junior League. Congratulations to him, running through on the grubber kick by Michael Hagen, and Nissen has scored the try with 9 minutes remaining of the grand final.
There's this kick now from Terry Lamb, again on the Balmain quarter line, a metre in from touch. What can he do with this one? And it's great for me, Peter, to see Steve Mortimer on that football field. Maybe he didn't want to go on, but I think Gus Gould having that talk to him, and he's got a great ticket, Turvey, and he's out there just for the last few minutes. As Lamb comes in now, he struck this one well away to the right-hand side, no goal.
Okay, so Canterbury, 4 tries, 3 in the second half, and a good rubber kick through by Hagen, who incidentally has been replaced. Now, I don't know, you know, Michael Hagen's done it all out there today. He scored a try, he's just laid on another one. I ask you, does he deserve to be taken off, Greg?
I don't think he does, Peter, but I'm sure he wouldn't mind, because the fellow that's taken his place, Steve Mortimer, I think he'd say, okay, mate, you've been there for 10 or 12 years, it's your go. Underway once again, ball taken by Farah in the in-goal area. beautifully given back to Nissen, who goes out another 15 metres or so and is knocked down centre field. Here he is, Steve Mortimer, offloads out now to Brandon Lee, who carries the leather up outside the Canterbury Bankstown quarter line. Steve Mortimer once again a dummy half. He runs from that position. He beats Benny Elias, but then taken over the top that time by Paul Sirinen, one of the good players for Balmain this afternoon. Thomas back to Langmack. He gets around one or two, beats Brooks Cole, gives it out to Dunn. Good pass out now to Thorne. He gets around Gartner. He's got Terry Lamb out wide. Lamb takes the ball, flies down the far flank. He gets to the fullback, tips over the top, and they're flying downfield. But Gary Jack will round up the football in the in goal, and they're down there, manages to get back into the field of play by some 2 metres or so.
There are 7 minutes left for the 1988 Winfield Cup Grand Final, and Canterbury Bankstown 24 lead Balmain 8, and the troops are coming out for Canterbury now. Coming onto the field is Mark Bugden, his last game with the club, and also in the in the second row Darren McCarthy. So they're all getting a shot now. They've trained hard and they're going to get a sniff of the big time from their coach Phil Gould. Phil Gould down on the sideline now, and what a great victory for him in his first year in coaching a first grade side in Sydney. That's a marvellous achievement, Greg Hartley.
It's a great achievement, Peter, but the Balmain Tigers still at work down here. Men at work they are. As a kick from Michael Neal goes down straight into the arms of little Jason Alton. He races across field. Oh, and Wayne Pearce is not done with this football match. He puts him away, smack down into the turf here, 40 metres out from the Canterbury Bankstown goal line. It's played to Curry, out to young Glenn Nissen, and this time Scott Gale's got hold of Nissen by the throat, and he throttles him too on the 40-metre line, I might add, with a good tackle. Up to play the ball. Curry once more a dummy half, this time electing to run from that position, but taken over the top by Bruce Maguire and also David Brooks. Steve Mortimer a dummy half. From there, he offloads out wide to Langmack. A good pass out now to Terry Lamb once again, but Lamb taken wide by Michael Pobji just short of the halfway line. Up now to play the ball. Stephen Folkes a dummy half. He sends it centre field to Brandon Lee. Lee takes one or two with him as he goes to ground 2 metres over the halfway line in Balmain territory.
Well, 6 minutes left to go, and Balmain courageous, but this afternoon the best side's going to win the grand final, and they've just had too much power, too much know-how in grand finals, and I think Balmain, had they been at full strength, maybe it would have been a lot closer contest, but the grand final a runaway to Canterbury by 24-8. Sideline eye, Tony Megahey.
Yeah, just noticed Curry coming off. It wasn't any token appearance by McCarthy, I can tell you. Looks like he's got broken ribs, Curry. They're just checking him.
Okay, so there he is. Tony, your thoughts on Steve Mortimer coming on late?
Oh, Peter, it's his last season with the club. I go along with it. I'd have given him a run. I know he didn't want it, but I think emotion is entitled to its place in the day, and a bit of sentiment. He's been the greatest player ever to put a jumper on for Canterbury. Should be there.
Okay, I suppose Phil Gould was on the odds to nothing if he didn't put him on when they did lead, so maybe I'm right and everybody else is wrong, but maybe I'm wrong and everybody else is right, I say. Over there in England, big fellow, Stevie Roach, sorry mate, we couldn't do anything else about this, but this Canterbury side have been much too good today, and they deserve all the accolades they're going to get. Much too good, and Balmain just one game too many for them, mate.
Yeah, well, mate, it's unfortunate anyway, but it sounds like Canterbury's played the better football today. Full credit to our blokes. I'm sure they haven't given in yet.
No, certainly haven't. They'll go right to the line, Steve, but just unfortunate that they've had to try and win it from where they did, and you'll remember that sudden death playoff for 5th, and way back there, it's been a long road from there to here, mate, hasn't it?
Yeah, mate, it's been a guts effort. I'm sure Balmain's lost no supporters today.
They certainly haven't, and you'd be proud of them, I'm sure.
6 weeks.
Yeah, for sure. That's right. It's been a tremendous 6 weeks, and, well, they've ignited the rugby league world, but we've got to give the accolades today to Canterbury Bankstown. They've deserved this win. They've worked hard for it. Here's a penalty now inside the 5 against Canterbury Bankstown, but there's only 3 minutes left for play. 24-8 in favour of Canterbury over Balmain on the Panasonic scoreboard.
Freeman now back to Michael Pobji. Pobji pulled down just inside the Canterbury quarter line. Centre field will get up there to play it. Back it goes now to Benny Elias. Elias looks for a ball carrier. Edmed comes up. He tries to go over the top of one. He gives a good pass back now to Pobsy, up over to Freeman. Freeman's trying to get away, but he's pulled down that time in a good tackle by Terry Lamb. He'll play the ball back to Benny Elias. He gives it out to Wayne Pearce. He charges forward. Back now it goes to Edmed. Edmed's arrested too that time by McCarthy. McCarthy gets off him. He'll play it 9 out from the Canterbury goal line. Back to Benny Elias. He turns the ball back in field to Freeman. Good pass across to Pearce out now. Oh, it's going to be a try to Balmain, and a good try too. Late coming, but a good try to Brucey Maguire.
Yeah, Bruce Maguire going in, but all too late for Balmain. Maguire, not even a smile on the face of the Tiger there. Benny Elias starting out from dummy half, switching the ball back to Freeman. Freeman a quick pass to Wayne Pearce, then on to the big fellow Maguire. He pulled out of a tackle by the Canterbury Bankstown second rower David Gillespie, and has gone in to make the scoreline 24 points to 12 with a kick to come, and good try, but coming all too late, and a missed tackle out there wide by Gillespie, and well, the try has been scored by Bruce Maguire for the Balmain side, making the scoreline 24 points to 12 with only, I make it, 1 minute and 49 seconds left of the 1988 Grand Final. There's the kick, a stray by Ross Conlon, 2 out of 4 for him, so 4 tries to 2 in favour of the Canterbury Bankstown side, and they're going to be premiers again for 1988, making them the most successful side of the 80s.
Back now towards the centre of the halfway line. And we've got 1 minute 20 seconds left to go in the 1988 Grand Final.
Crowd of 40,000, Greg. And,
yeah, great crowd.
Well, the
About
game,
time we've seen it at capacity.
Yeah, and I can say this about the place. It's nowhere near as good for a Grand Final as the Sydney Cricket Ground. The atmosphere just not here today.
I agree. Back now to the centre of the halfway line. Terry Lamb taking as much time as he possibly can. Stone realising the fact that there are a lot of points, hasn't bothered to blow off time. As he comes in now, gets it underway. He's punched the football down into the Balmain quarter line. Taken by Russell Gartner. 5 out from his own goal line. He starts his run down. Will make it up to the 15-metre line before he's pulled down over the top by Bugden and Company. Getting up there to play it. Ben Elias at dummy half. Gives it out now to Hardwick. Hardwick a strong run up inside his own quarter line. Powerful run that time, but Brandon Lee's there to stop him. Once again, Ben Elias at dummy half. Goes across now to Michael Neal. Out now to big Paul Sirinen, back inside to Freeman. Freeman desperately trying to keep it alive, but again Brandon Lee to pull him down. We'll play it again, 30 metres out from the line to Michael Pobsy. Ben Elias races through, chips over the top, and Steve Mortimer read the play beautifully, taking the football for the Canterbury side right on the halfway line. Mortimer up now to play it. Back it goes to McCarthy. McCarthy tries to run away, but again Michael Neal goes low to pull him down. Plays it now to Robin Thorne. Thorne fends off Michael Neal into the Balmain area of the football field once again. 2 metres over the halfway line before he's knocked down.
8 minutes, 8 seconds left in the Grand Final. 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. There it is. Premiers for 1988. The Dogs of War from Belmore in Sydney. The Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs have beaten the sentimental favourites Balmain by 24 points to 12 before a crowd of 40,000 at the Sydney Football Stadium, and Phil Gould has achieved a remarkable achievement for him. The milestone for a coach, a premiership in his first year as a coach. Glenn Nissen and Jason Elchin have also grabbed premierships, first up in first grade, and what a change has come over this football stadium now with the Canterbury supporters waving their blue and white flags. Canterbury 4 tries this afternoon, and they were scored by Glenn Nissen, Terry Lamb, Michael Hagan and David Gillespie. 4 goals from 6 attempts to Terry Lamb for Balmain. Gallant, but they're outclassed today. Ben Elias and Bruce Maguire tries. Ross Conlon 2 from 4, and Paul Dunn is the Clive Churchill medal winner for the Grand Final. Best player in the Grand Final has gone to Canterbury Bankstown's Paul Dunn. A marvellous effort by Dunn to win that award this afternoon, and I would go along with that. A tremendous performance by the big front row forward, and Canterbury Bankstown are the Winfield Cup winners for 1988. 24 points to 12 winners over Balmain at the Sydney Football Stadium. A good victory, Greg. The grand final, which didn't reach the expectations which we anticipated midweek, but Canterbury